for this, I'm going to say something right now. Apart from a few other maybe DC Multiverse stuff that comes out, this is going to be my line going forward. Like, I might pick up one or two more DC Multiverses.
So, in my defense, the figure hadn't even been shown yet. They were just renders. I also didn't know the cell shading was going to look like this. Whatever. Hey, what's happening? YouTubers are back with a brand new action figure review, but not so new really, because it's reusing an old body mold, but new cell shading. But anyways, today we're going to take a look at the new McFarlane Toys DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Batman, part of a collectible wave for the Condiment King. And as you saw in that beginning clip, I was 100% in when McFarlane Toys announced that they were going to redo the DC Direct line at San Diego Comic-Con. But again, I didn't think the cell shading was going to look like this. Anyways, let's take a look. So like we always do with the reviews, let's get started with the box art first. So in the front of the box, on the bottom, you see that signature Batman silhouette pose that you saw in the animated series, and at the end credits, then you see the Batman the Animated Series title right there. And on the top right corner of the box, this is something different than what the original release was. This is part of a collectible wave, something DC Direct never really did with the original animated series figures. So you see the collectible figure, the very first one for McFarlane Toys is going to be the Condiment King. Now continuing on with the box art, on the right side of the box you see the Batman the Animated Series logo. The figure in the box is Batman, and then you see the image artwork of Batman based on his appearance in the animated series, which looks drastically different than what's actually in the box. Anyways, you see this little silhouette on the background of Gotham City, which I do like, and on the bottom you see that it is a DC Direct figure from McFarlane Toys. And then on the back of the box you see the image artwork of the Condiment King, which is the collectible figure. You see the highlighted piece that is included with this figure, and there's 3 other figures in order to complete the Build-A-Figure, which is standard for McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. On the bottom you see the other 3 figures in the wave. We have Scarecrow, Robin, and Mr. Freeze. Alright, that's enough about the box art, which I gotta say looks really nice, and it's still surreal to see something Batman the Animated Series related on store shelves in 2023. But I digress. Let's go and get Batman out of the box. Alright, here's Batman out of the box. Let's take a look at his accessories first, because he comes with a plethora of them. So as shown in the box, he does come with the right and left arm of Condiment King. Now the cool thing is, unlike the DC Direct versions, this is something different McFarlane Toys is doing. They're adding a data file card in here, which is nice. It's the same image artwork you saw in the back of the box. This looks cool. Here's the funny part. On the back of the card, on the data file, if you look in closely, once it focuses here, I recently reviewed the Dark Knights of Steel Batman figure. If you haven't seen that yet, go watch it. But they literally copy it verbatim from the data file cards on the DC Multiverse figures. Like, they didn't change anything up. It's the same thing, copy and pasted on the new animated series stuff. Come on, y'all. Much like the original DC Direct versions though, this Batman does come with a plethora of hand accessories and a weapon accessory. So the first set of gripping hands he has on there are kind of wide ones. This is meant for the Bat Cycle that you can purchase separately at Target. And then he has a set of fisted hands. Then he also has a pair of gripping hands that are meant to grip the Batarang that you see right here that he also comes with. You can put it on either hand. And then he also comes with this right-handed one that has the grapnel gun already molded on there. And for those people that collected the OG DC Direct one, what was the point of having this one by itself? Because this can't fit either of these gripping hands. I mean, unless you put it on the wide one, but even then, like, what was the point of including this by itself? I never understood that. Alright, so we're going to get started with the head sculpt first. So the head sculpt to me, without the cell shading, looks fine. And I know, like, his jaw looks abnormally huge, but depending on some artwork of Batman the Animated Series and different times you've watched it, it is a little bit different in some artworks. I have an old VHS version where his jaw looks exactly like this. I'll pop that up on the screen right now. But, geez, the cell shading does not look good. And I want to be respectful for anyone who worked on the cell shading. I'm sure in the digital version of it and the renders it looked fine, but goodness, it does not look good. I don't understand. It looks like he poured apple cider on the side of his cheek or like spilled it. It's like dripping from his mask. Like this, I question that decision to cell shade the face like that. Look, the cell shading on the top of the mask or this cowl looks fine. That's fine to me, and along here. The interesting thing is too, is they did cell shading before with that 4-pack, and then prior to that with the animated series Adventures Continues version. I don't know why they went this direction. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. Then when taking a look at the rest of the figure, that same cell shading is spread throughout the rest of the body. And to be honest, I do like some of the blues in there. I'm not going to front, but to me, it's just this part right here, like the way they chose to do the black cell shading just looked awkward to me. It just doesn't look good objectively. Like with all the respect, like some of it looks okay, but just it's just so, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words if I'm being honest with y'all. And when looking at the back of the figure, it does have a cloth cape, which is interesting because this isn't the same like, Fabio said it before. This is like a Lego cape, the one that comes with the 66 stuff. This is a little bit thicker. I'm wondering if this was issued on a prior DC Direct version because it feels different. Because I think the original one actually had a wired cape, and this is just a fabric just displayed like that. The cape looks fine, I guess, but it would have been cool if it had the wiring like the OG version did. When looking at the overall paint finish, it's more of a glossier tone when you compare it to the original one. Well, I guess this isn't really original. This is the Adventure Continue one that McFarlane Toys reissued back last year in 2022. And you can see the cell shading is very subtle on here. I don't understand why it had to go extremely overboard with the new one, but here's the matte version, and then this is more of like a glossier version. Which one do y'all prefer? You prefer it to be in a matte tone or a glossier tone? I'm also not going to dive too much into articulation, but what I will recommend before posing it around when you take it out of the box, I highly recommend heating it up just because the joints are extremely stiff, at least on mine. But I also saw somebody in one of the Facebook groups, their leg popped off in the Mr. Freeze when they took it out of the box. So just be careful taking it out of the box and just remember to heat it up. I'll also say like the ab crunch on here, just be careful because the torso tends to pop off a little bit on mine. I don't know if it's the same thing with the other figures, but when crunching it forward, it tends to pop off. All right, now we're going to jump right into size comparisons. And first size comparison, here's Batman sitting next to the Catwoman from DC Direct by McFarlane Toys, reissued last year. And on the right is the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman based on his appearance in the animated series. That was from Wave 1. And actually, I don't know if I mentioned it here before, but I mentioned it in a podcast before, but that was the first review I ever worked on for McFarlane Toys figure. I never uploaded it, and this was like the old days of like YouTube when I do like happy-go-lucky reviews. For whatever reason, I was super critical on that figure. I sometimes wonder if I should upload that. Let me know what you think in the comments below if I should. And next size comparison, here's Batman standing next to another DC Direct item from McFarlane Toys. We have the Batman 66 Adam West on the left, black and white version, and the Dark Knight Returns Batman from the DC Multiverse line that I've kit bashed with this DC Direct animated series Bruce Wayne head. And I already tried the head swap, guys. It doesn't work. His head's way too big for this body. Proportionally, it just doesn't look good. And next size comparison, here he is standing next to some newly released Marvel Legends. We have the X-Men 97 Bishop on the left and Wolverine on the right. And it's just surreal to see in 2023 all the stuff I grew up liking, now made in modern figure form. And now time for a random ass size comparison. Here he is standing next to a couple of My Hero Academia figures from McFarlane Toys. We have Deku, not Todoroki, and Ochako.
My shit in heart.
Alright, some overall thoughts on the figure. The figure's fine. And look, I get the price point of $30 might be a little bit high, but when you factor in the plethora of accessories and the Build-A-Figure piece, it somewhat justifies it, but not really just because it's outdated in terms of articulation. I get it, it's from the mid-2010s, so there's a lot of stuff that it's lacking that a lot of modern figures have. However, it's good for newer collectors or collectors that missed out on those DC Direct ones to reacquire them. That's the positive thing of looking at it. Objectively speaking, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and the reason why it seems I'm super critical about this or passionate about this is because I really enjoyed Batman the Animated Series growing up. So to see the cell shading done like this figure, it hurts. Like, especially since they did cell shading before with that 4-pack, that looked fine, and then prior to that, the Adventures Continues line, the cell shading was subtle. This one was a little overboard, and the rest of the figures in the line aren't as bad as this. Robin kind of looks bad too, looks like he's peeing his pants, if I'm being honest. I'm hoping they take note of the general reception and feedback of the cell shading for these animated series figures and kind of tone it down for the next few waves. We'll see. I hope they do listen, just because I want to be all in it for this figure line, and you saw in the video I did with Rob D Toys, I was all in on it till I saw the cell shading. Hopefully that's something they fix, and I don't know if it's like a mandate that they have to differentiate this from the prior ones released, but my god, no more cell shading on the face, please. Other than that, you know, glass half full version is, if you missed out on the DC Direct line, this is a good way of acquiring them. Me personally, I just hope that they improve on the cell shading because I'm all in on the line, given the fact that they fixed the cell shading. But let me know what you think in the comments below. YouTube, sound off. Like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.